Interesting facts about famous people.
Most underrated Western movies. Not the oldest profession, but one of Hollywood's oldest genres. The Western was the hottest ticket in town for decades, beginning to wane in favour in the 70s. At their height, Westerns were the most popular and critically acclaimed films. The most celebrated of the 40s, 50s and 60s were cowboy adventures. Some of the biggest movie stars were heroes like John Wayne, Gary Cooper and James Stewart, Bronson, Clint Eastwood and Steve McQueen. From The Searchers and The Wild Bunch through to the spaghetti western, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, the most heralded westerns have become some of the most famous movies ever made. I think it's time to look back at some of the most underrated westerns that are worth watching. Quigley Down Under. Tom Selleck stars as Matthew Quigley, a gunslinger seeking work. Finds himself halfway across the globe in Australia, then under British rule. Wielding a specially modified rifle of his own design, Quigley is hired by an English tyrant named Elliot Marsden, Alan Rickman, who wants him to kill the Aboriginals whose land he wants for himself. Quigley refuses to be party to genocide. Marsden has him beaten and left in the harsh Australian outback. The Aborigines help Quigley. Grateful for their generosity, Quigley helps their cause against the cruel Marsden. An early 90s adventure western, fast-paced, pulp-inspired western full of energy and action. The film didn't find success with audiences, and Selleck didn't wind up a Hollywood star, content instead to be a hero on the small screen in shows like Blue Bloods and The Closer. Despite being a box office failure, Quigley Down Under is a worthy adventure that should not be forgotten. Shalako. Sean Connery in the only real western he ever made, perhaps miscast as an American veteran of the Civil War, in the title role of Shalako, who fights to keep white settlers off Native American lands. Shalako encounters a band of wealthy English trophy hunters who've come to find adventure, only to find themselves in Apache territory. When the Countess Irina, Bridget Bardot, is abducted by the Apache, Shalako comes to her rescue. The former soldier joins the English group, helping them survive, as the trophy hunters are now hunted by the Apache. The noblemen prove troublesome, and Shalako struggles to keep the hunting parties safe from the danger. Shalako may require you to overlook Connery's poor hidden accent. Focus on the adventure. You'll find a western drama as good or better than many of that era. Appaloosa. The film came and went from theatres. You were more likely to have seen it while flying on a plane. If you've seen it, then you've seen what might be the most underrated western. The film centers on the town of Appaloosa, where an overzealous rancher named Randall Bragg, Jeremy Irons, killed the US Marshal stationed there to take over the small mining town. The people hire noted lawman Virgil Cole, Harris, who brings his old friend Everett Hitch, Mortensen, to take on Bragg and retake Appaloosa. They meet a young widow named Allie, Renee Zellweger, who romances them both, creating a love triangle that challenges their partnership. Great performances from its star cast. Appaloosa may not have offered anything too new, but what it did well. Despite being a failure in theatres, it's been remembered by those who saw it as one of the best westerns that nobody talks about. The Duel. A classic example of a movie that the critics got wrong. It won't bowl you over, but it delivers a strong drama set in the Wild West. Actor Liam Hemsworth may seem like an odd choice for a Western lawman. He's mostly there in a supporting role. The film is ultimately about Woody Harrelson, who delivers a strong performance that holds up the otherwise ordinary film. He plays a preacher named Abraham Brandt, also a former Confederate officer, and the current mayor of the devout religious community of Mount Hermon, where a series of murders has recently taken place. Texas Ranger David Kingston, Hemsworth, is sent to investigate, incognito, bringing his wife, Marisol. Coming face to face with Brandt, who we discover is also responsible for the death of his father in a duel 10 years before. Kingston finds that Brandt is manipulating the townspeople into loyalty to him. When Marisol also comes under Brandt's spell, Kingston risks everything to expose him as the con man and murderer he is. The Duel is a dark and twisted tale that ensues typical Western gunslinging action and drama. Hostiles. Considering this film's stellar cast, it's a wonder it's never talked about. Christian Bale, Rosamund Pike, Timothy Chalamet, and Jesse Plemons. Bale throws himself into the role of embittered 19th century US Army Captain Joseph Blocker. The veteran soldier has been instructed to escort a Native American chieftain named Yellowhawk, who is suffering from cancer, back to his people. Blocker, who is nearing the end of his service time, isn't thrilled about transporting the Cheyenne leader, as the two warriors were once mortal enemies. A dangerous trek across the plains from New Mexico to Montana follows. The two former adversaries must work together to survive against the dangers they face along the way. The visually stunning and beautifully acted journey across the frontier, Hostile, was well received critically, but hardly seen. Hidalgo. In 2004, Viggo Mortensen became a cowboy for his first feature film role in Hidalgo. Mortensen played real-life horse-riding legend Frank Hopkins. He leaves America to take his skills in the saddle to the Arabian desert at the invitation of a sheikh. He and his prized Mustang enter the Ocean's Fire, a celebrated horse race, and compete against the best trained riders of the region on the finest Arabian horses around. Hopkins has to survive more than just the normal obstacles during the 3,000-mile route, which covers deadly storms, rough terrain, and extreme temperatures, but also rival riders who resent the foreign infidel. Only getting worse when the outsider Hopkins is found romancing Jazeera, the daughter of the Sheikh. Hidalgo has shades of Lawrence of Arabia and Ben-Hur. Mortensen's role as Frank Hopkins was loved by audiences, while noted critics called the film bold, exuberant, and swashbuckling. However, the film failed as an all-time great, like the movies that inspired it. Open Range. Two veterans of Western film, Robert Duvall, Lonesome Dove, and Kevin Costner, Dances with Wolves, together with Michael Gambon, Annette Bening, and a young Diego Luna, for Open Range. Duvall is a Montana rancher and remorseful former Union soldier named Boss Spearman, who moves his cattle herd across the country with help from three cowboys, Charlie, Mose, and Button, eventually stopping in the town of Harmonville, which is ruled by an Irish rancher named Denton Baxter, and Poole, a bloodthirsty US Marshal. Baxter and Poole don't like outsiders. Mose is badly beaten when he heads into town to buy supplies. Button is shot trying to defend him. It's up to Boss and Charlie to fight back against Baxter, Poole, and their men, in a confrontation they may not survive. If you're looking for a modern take on the 1950s classic westerns, with cowboy heroes on a crusade, this is a movie for you. Despite its star cast and gripping story, it only had modest success. It showed that Costner was a good fit for the genre, helping him get TV roles in Hatfield and McCoy's, and eventually the neo-western Yellowstone. Hombre. Over the last 50 years, Hollywood has used the work of author Elmore Leonard for many movies and television shows. One of the first adaptations of his work is the 1967 film Hombre, starring Paul Newman, though it never got the same level of recognition as the first Leonard-penned western, 3:10 to Yuma. The silver screen adaptation of the author's fifth novel is in sore need of broader appreciation. A pre-Butch Cassidy Newman stars as John Russell, a white man who had been raised by the Apache. He comes back to his old town in Arizona upon the death of his father, who has left him a family heirloom. Leaving town on a stagecoach, his fellow passengers subject him to bigotry and intolerance for his Native American upbringing. When a gang of outlaws attack them on the trail, it's up to Russell to defend those who despise him from those who want him dead. A revisionist western and cowboy adventure with everything a fan would want in a movie of its kind. Its bold social commentary helps elevate it to something even better. The Missing. Based on the novel The Last Ride by Thomas Edison, the story takes place in New Mexico in the latter half of the 1800s and tells the story of Samuel Jones, a man who had travelled with Native Americans for years and now hopes to reconcile with his adult daughter, Maggie, When Maggie's daughter Lily is abducted by Apache marauder named El Brujo, reluctantly, Maggie allows her father back into her life. In their hunt for Lily, the once estranged father and daughter duo meet a father-son pair who are also tracking El Brujo. The four set out to deliver justice to the Apache raider and recover their loved ones. Praised by more than just critics, even Apache historians gave The Missing high marks for its authenticity and historical accuracy, which combined with a suspenseful story to make the film an underrated gem. The Proposition. Set in the Australian outback, The Proposition, written and scored by musician Nick Cave, the film starred Guy Pearce, Ray Winston, Danny Houston, Emily Watson, and John Hurt. Pearce plays Charlie Burns, a renegade outlaw who, along with his younger brother Mikey, is finally cornered and caught by no-nonsense lawman Captain Morris Stanley, Winston. Facing execution, Stanley offers Charlie a proposition to win him and his little brother their freedom. Head across the desert to track and kill his older brother Arthur, who's wanted for rape and murder. Setting out across the dangerous outback, Charlie soon realizes he's not alone when he encounters a gruff old bounty hunter named Jellan Lamb, Hurt, who has a mysterious agenda of his own. Described by critics as a blast of grittiness and a violently complex masterpiece of genre revisionism, The Proposition is another Western lost to the glut of limited release and direct-to-streaming fare that deserved better. Thank you for your time today. I hope you liked the video. Please drop me your comments. I appreciate likes, shares and subscribers. It helps me a lot. Bye for now.